Bonjour, Graphista. I think the stream has started, hopefully. We have funky conditions today. It's quite hot where I am. My laptop does not like the heat too much, and neither do I. That being said, so welcome to yet another episode of the live stream series on the PHP client developed by Ghlen, who's with us today to live on the edge. This time we are gonna show some recent features. I mean, so recent, they are not completely stable yet, not part of a stable release yet, but Ghlen will tell you all about that soon. First, I want to make some usual announcements. So if you followed the stream before, you know what I'm gonna talk about. Of course, I'm gonna talk about Graph Connect. So Graph Connect is happening very soon, early June in Austin, Texas. It's the first Graph Connect, where we can meet people for real. It's been a while. It's been 2 years, I think. So if you can grab a ticket, you still have tickets available. And with that, actually, there is a discount. So if you use the discount code community50, like it's written there in big letters, capital C, community50, 15 digits, then you will get a 50% discount on the ticket, I believe. So that was for the announcement, and now for a quick recap again of what we're trying to do here with Ghlen. Actually, again, Ghlen is doing all the work. I'm just introducing the episodes, really. So what we're doing, we're creating a real-world I/O project, and real-world I/O is a medium.com clone. So medium.com is a blogging platform where you can write and publish blogs, people can comment on it, rate it, etc., etc. And as a many project, of course, you have two parts, a front-end and a back-end. So here we are focusing on the back-end. The database, of course, is Neo4j. The back-end is written in PHP. And the PHP client is the glue between the database and the application. So that's what we're trying to do. And the good part about real-world I/O is that you have a set of runnable tests that will guide the implementation of all the endpoints you need to build in order to get this medium.com clone running. So without further ado, I'm just gonna stop there, monitor questions, of course, if you have any, and I will forward them to Ghlen. And otherwise, enjoy the show, and yeah, it's now your turn. Ghlen, you can take over.
Okay, so hello everyone. So indeed, today we're going to be living a bit on the edge. We essentially built the API almost fully featured last episode. We were using Laravel for that. But one of the main things that was missing was essentially what is the best feature of Laravel, and those are the models and the query builders. What we did now was we wrote the queries ourselves. And because we did that, we couldn't use the model functionality in there, and there is a lot of stuff integrated in there. There was already an existing work from VineLab, from Abed. It was Neo Eloquent. And I've been working the past few months on a version 2.0. So right now we have released version 1.8, I believe. But the difference between the new version and the old version is that the older version, the main difference at least, is that it was not so tightly integrated deep into the system. So the newer version is working on that. And because of that, we will be able to do we will be able to pass a lot of the boilerplate that Laravel provides to the system. Like I said, this is in an alpha version, so nothing really will fully work. Some parts will. And we are just going to, today, what I want to do is just go through a little bit of the features that Laravel provides and just start using them and see the code production, if it's a smart thing to do, stuff like that, if it works. Some of the stuff will work out of the box, some of this won't. I have both repositories open, so I can do a hotfix, but I fear if I will do that, we will be losing too much time to do anything else. So if I see that the hotfix will be too complicated, we'll just move on to another part of Laravel, because there is quite a lot to unpack. So just to go through it, this is the new Neo Eloquent. So I've been working with Abed on this. The package is really good, but we are trying to make the integration a little bit deeper into the system, so it really works out of the box with all the existing functionality. So you can read this by yourself, but actually what the end goal should be is that you shouldn't read this. You should read this, the Laravel page, because we are rebuilding all the functionality in here. So you can create models, how to load it, define primary keys, everything that goes around it. I'm assuming most people that are watching right now know a little bit about Laravel, because otherwise I won't be having really the time to explain everything. But since it's such a ubiquitous framework, I'm assuming most people already know about this. So yeah, it basically allows you to define models, and in the model is a query builder. And then when you can run the queries that you build, and you will get automatically have the relational mapping back into your system. So that's there is quite a few stuff in here. You can do subqueries. Of course, this has all been made with SQL in mind, this entire system. So what is making it quite difficult to do the translation is that basically all the functionality that is in SQL is also there in Cypher, but sometimes it requires some out-of-the-box thinking to achieve the same result. For example, joins and stuff like that. So that is why it can be, or that is why it can take a long time to get it really working. It's not as simple as just a simple copy paste. And one of the main things that helped with this was a nice little project from Wikibase Solutions. I've also been working a lot with them. And they built a query builder that is in line with Cypher. So that way we had a programmatic way to build queries. So we could think in a higher level than just in how will we write this in text or in strings. So it allowed me to do a lot more complex stuff. So I'm really grateful for this package. But what I'm trying to get at here is that we've built we've done we've done a basic implementation right now of Eloquent. So that means there is already quite a lot of stuff that we can use. Let's see, one of the nice things that we can start with is route model binding. So what route model binding is, let me see if it's here, model binding. No, it's not on this page. Let's just Google it. Route model binding. So it's in the routing page. There we go. So if you can remember, we had this repository pattern where we get the ID or the slug of an item. Then we would run a query to get the object. If it didn't exist, we would have to throw an exception. And all this logic can be simplified by simply using route model binding. This is one of the features that we can use now. And this is basically the only feature that I tested before starting the live stream, so I know it works. So to give you an example, this is Neo Eloquent. What I need is real world. Let me put on screen, what's it called again? Presentation mode. So it's a little bit nicer on the eyes. Split. So if we go to, I believe it was on article that I did it, article controller. Yep, there we go. So in the article controller, we defined basically the get article. And previously this was a request, and then we would need to use user repository, and then we would find it, the repository would check it if it existed or not. And that would basically be that. But now what we can do is, if we go back to api.php, this is where we defined all the routes. Then we can see here in the article controller that, that we have defined the slug here. And the primary key of the article model is also the slug in this implementation. So Laravel knows that it can use this to find the model and then directly pass it through the method in the controller. So if we go to the tests, let's see here, there is a article integration test. The test won't run, but it will pass the initial part, I believe. So if we go to articles integration, let's take a look. Let's do test get article. I don't think I ran the containers. So let me boot the containers. Otherwise, it won't work. But you'll be able to see that the test article will be found. But if you will, for example, make a mistake here in the slug, it will automatically return a 404 without us having to do some programming. Of course, this is going to take a while. Let's see, what can I say about this? I can talk a little bit about what it does under the hood. So what it does is it goes to the article model, it'll start a query, and it'll do find. That's basically it. And it'll pass test article in here. I think it's even find or fail that it'll use. So find or fail is like one of the helper methods. So it saves us a line of code, but I think it's also a little bit more clear if we just assume the controller receives it. Let's take another look. Almost never takes this long. So that's basically because we're live streaming, I think. Let's take a look. This is the article model. Yeah, also because we need to define a table because, as I said, it assumes SQL. So right now I use a table, but the table is the label. So I'm thinking about implementing, because the previous version had it, we could do this label. But I'm not sure if it's the ideal route to go. It might be, I'll probably do something like this. So it becomes a little bit more clear. Come on. It's essentially doing nothing. We'll find its way. So, I had it all up and running a few minutes ago, and then I had an entire screen freeze, so I had to reboot.
And talk about the devil. I think he's got an issue again, just when he mentioned it. All right, so let's wait a little bit for Ghlen to return. And he's back.
Yes, there we go.
Welcome back.
And we are started as well. Perfect. Okay. So let's go back to the test. The route model binding. Let's run it. Yeah. What's the exception? No given. And one busy type article model no given. Let's take a look. Let's see if this worked. Let's go back here. Localhost. Okay, so it did create everything. So test article, yeah. Ah, I know why. I removed the table part here. Of course, we had to define the label. Let's run it again. Yeah, so this worked, but of course, what's happened here is if you go to the article controller, we do a get article, we find the article model, and then what we are doing there is we are trying to present it. And of course, the presentation won't work because it still assumes the basic data back, essentially, which we aren't passing at the moment. So maybe that's like a nice, it's like a good way to continue our work, because Laravel, of course, has a way of dealing with this kinds of stuff to build APIs and to easily hydrate or present it. So this is a page about the API resources. And we can run this command, and that will be used to just return it and present it. So if we do that, if we artisan, we will call it a article resource. And there we go. And let's take a look. So it created an article resource for us. There it is. To our array, yes. And I believe the best thing we can do is if we go in the overview. Yeah, so what it has is like a toArray method. And here we can basically do the same as we did in the presenter. So let's split. And I think it's article presenter. Yeah, there we go. So this logic essentially can be moved into here. Let's take a look. Article title. Let's see. Yeah, of course, it has all the relationships. So what we can do first is define the relationships, maybe. See how much that works. Might be an interesting thought. Article author. Yeah, I think it's best if we do it all at once. If we are doing a full presentation of the resource, just when we what we can do in the meantime is we can do the boilerplate here. So we can do new article resource, and we can pass the article in here, I believe. Yeah, and then of course it will return article resource. So this will return now. It's going to check the resource and it's going to do the toArray method. So it's going to do something. It's not going to be pretty, probably. This we will also remove, I think. But we will comment it out first. So yeah, this really simplifies it. We get the article, it gets passed in here, and we can just return it as a resource, and that's all the API needs to do. Yeah. Alt5. Let's take a look at what's it gonna do. hopefully it'll fail now at the assertion level. It won't crash. It crashed. Set status code. Yeah, of course. Yeah, and then it is, of course. I wonder if you can define the status codes with the resource. It should be. It doesn't tell us anything. This is interesting. Resource. Is there something about status code? No. So this is something we will have to check out. I can't imagine it won't work. Delegate resource with additional. Yeah, so it plays nicely with other relationships. To JSON. With response. There we go, with response. So there is a with response method that we can use. Does that mean we don't really need to change the with response there, but what we need to do here is when we create the article, we get the response from here. No. What we can do is make a Boolean. Yeah, that's probably the easiest one. Bool created. No, I think we have even something better. It's also a to response. That's even nicer. You can use to response. This should play nicely, right? And then, of course, it should be JSON response. Let's see how this works. Yeah. So now it fails the assertion because, of course, we didn't create the article title, stuff like that. But what we also can do is go to the article resource, and in there, one of the nice things we can do is, if I remember here, something about data. Data wrapping, yeah. Wrap. So the wrap should become article, at least, because now it will be data.title. And then what we at least can do is do this title, so we can see that at least the first one works. I think we can make it play nicely with our editor if we do a mixin. Mixin article. So now it recognizes that. Yeah, and now it says the description doesn't exist, of course, because we didn't pass it like that. So that basically works pretty nicely. And there we go. We can just return an array, that's fine. So that's basically the Laravel way to do it. I think the most powerful feature, and this is the feature that is the most wonky at the moment, that's the relationship part. So, and that's basically what is happening. I have it here. Yeah, the relationships. So Laravel allows you to define relationships between models, and that way you can easily query them. it's not only about easily querying them, it'll also be smart about it on loading many at once or not, depending on how you customize it or which methods you call. And yeah, so that's basically one of the nicest features there is, but I find it gets confusing pretty quickly. So if you're going to take a look again at our models here, so we have an article model, a comment tag, and a user. We need to make a comment model and a tag model still. So let's do that. PHP artisan make model tag model and comment model. Yeah. So, and then if we have the relationships defined, we can easily use these resources and bind it all together. Let's take a look at the time. Okay, it's not too bad. If we go ahead and take a look, of course, now this is one of the main things to remember. Now it binds to the normal model, but what we still need to do is we need to extend the Neo4j model. That way everything will work really nicely. Yes, and let's never forget to define the label, let's call it that, comment. And then, of course, we do the same for tag. Extend the right one. Yeah. Okay, so let's take a look at the relationships that we can define. There are only a few which I know kind of work right now. So in order to define a relationship, you can go here and let's say, for example, one-to-many. So a post can have many comments. Maybe that's a good way to go about it. Let's go to comment. Let's go to post, of course. So in our case, we are calling it article. So let's create a method called public function comments. And what it'll do is it'll call the method has many relationship. Why doesn't it recognize it? So there is a has many relations. Aha, I didn't update it yet. Composer update. This is something I created a few hours ago. Now if you take a look, yeah, has many relationship. There we go. So we define that it has in this comment we define that the article has many. Of course, because there is one asterisk if we are using actual relationships in the database and not something with foreign keys. We do need to add relationship after that. So has many relationship, and it requests the related model and the name of the relation. So the article has many comments. And the relationship name will be as comment, for example. So now we have defined it. Let's define a return type. There we go. That makes sense. So now we have defined comments. What else does an article have? An article has tags. Of course, it's not comment, it's comment model. We will delete the data bags later. Tag model. Tag. There we go. And then it has an author. And we can be a little bit nicer here. We can say has one. And then, of course, we need to return has one relationship. I think I did the wrong one. Has one. It needs to be this one. Yeah, there we go. And that it will be, of course, a user model as author. I think it's better if we define it when I'm thinking about the structure. I think it would be better if we do this. It is if we do the inverse. So let's go to the author model. User model, sorry. So if you go here, we say public function written articles, for example. You will do this. Yeah. And that will be article model. Right. And that should be as one, as many. I think, yeah, this one didn't extend. Let's fix this. Let's do it like this. And let's say this as well. So we extend the model. Should be the correct one. Yes. And then we can do it like this. So now we have it. Yeah, now we can use it. There we go. Has many relationship. Yeah. So we have the has many, and then if we go to the I believe it's the article model, author, we can say belongs to relation. So this is basically the inverse. I think this makes sense. So now we've defined the relations. I don't think I have used same ones as we used here. There is tagged. Yeah, I think we can. Tagged is fine. Authored is also the same. Yeah. Instead of hashtag, we can make it tagged. Has comment can be. We'll review it later. So I think this one isn't really needed, I believe. But anyway. Let's take a look in the article resource. I think there is quite a few things we can do now. Because Laravel provides quite a little bit of magic right now, and we can start showing it through properties now. So let's say quite a few relationships. There is now a property available to us called comments. And of course, that'll be collection, and the collection will contain comments. Then there will be tags, which will also be a collection. And then there is an author available. So that's a user model. I think we can go back now to our resource. Let's go back to the article resource. That's it. All right. There is an article resource, and then there should be an article presenter, right? Yeah. Let's also create a tag resource. And let's create there's a tag resource and a commentary resource and user resource. Title. So now, what can we do? First, let's take a look at the basic presentation here. Slug, body, description. So this is all the basic stuff: the article, body, description. We'll also do all the timestamps for us. Yeah, that's this part. And then, of course, there is also a tag list. And I believe there is a nice functionality in here. If you take a look. Wrapping nested resources. See, we can do pagination in the future. Quite a few helper, but this is too much information. What I'm trying to do is resource collection. Yeah. So tag lists are multiples. So what we can do here is tag resource and make a collection of the tags. We can define this on this. Yeah. So that's for our tag list. We can then use a tag resource later to define what it should look like. Yeah, for tag list, we then have our author. It will be a user resource. This author. And then favorited and favorite count. That's something else, of course, but we can also do that if you go to our article model. We can, for example, do go to user model. Let's simplify it. Let's keep it all in this function right now. So it should be has many, I believe. So let's say user. Call it favorited by. And then I think what we can do as well is we can do this, get favorited attribute, that'll be a Boolean. All we need to do is return this. We can use the relationship as a query builder. So we can say here where user dot email is equal to ID. And then we can say exists. So this is an easy way to determine if the user that is logged in has favorited the article. And then the favorite count would be get favorite count attribute. That way we can say favorited and then just do a count from there. There we go. So let's add these magic properties as they exist now. There is a collection available now. Favorited. It's called favorite. Let's call it favorite by. So here. And then there is favorited. Favorite count and favorite. It's a Boolean, it's an integer. So and then favorite count. I think that that should work. Let's go back in the user presenter. No, it's the article presenter. We have an author, the tag list, and I think that's about it. Present full articles. Oh, there we go. Yeah, because I'm in presentation mode, this is becoming really unreadable. Let's take a look at this. No, I think we're done. It has all the things. Then, of course, you need to do the tag resource and the user resource. But we can do that later. We can just take a look at this. What's the time? 15 minutes. Daytime format. Yeah, of course. Yeah, so that's something I still need to fix, but in the meantime, we can do this. Yeah, and then we get first on nil. And where is that? Yeah, so it's nice to see that the tag list went through, but the author did not. This might be something too difficult to fix now. Yeah, this is something for later. But we did quite a few things already. So we went through article, we went to resources, relationships. Those are the main things. We had route model binding. I think, for example, we had like our slug generator. We, of course, built it ourselves. But there is also something like this available. So this is just packages built on top of Laravel, so it makes it really easy to do Slug. So instead of building this entire system, we could just do this. Composer require. Here we go. Sluggable. So we've installed it, and now all we have to do is use slug on the article model. Here. So there we go. It already complains of an undefined method. That's probably the configuration. Get slug options. And then there is a nice example how you would do that. Slug options create. And then it should do it for us. We do it based on the title, and we will save it to the slug. Because it's all using Laravel models, it should work out of the box, just the way route model binding did. So that way we have it in here. Let's go to the comments. No, that's the article model. Article controller. So what we can do instead is let's help our editor a little bit. There we go. So now we have created an article model instead of doing it through a repository. And then what we can do is for each this line can be forgotten about. Here we can do response. That's pretty much the way to go. What did we call it? Name. So I think what we can do now is we can go back to our model. It has tags. And we can save. We can even do save many. Save many probably won't work yet, but hey, still. Should it be collection of models? So in that case, what we can do is an array map. Yeah. And I think we can do it a little bit more. If we would do it the Laravel way, we probably would do something like this instead. So we'd probably do a collect on the forums tag list. Then we would map it and we would parse this. So as you can see, we've removed the need for our entire repository and we didn't write really any new code. So this is really like the strength of Laravel. It's a lot to learn, all the specific features. But if you know the features, you know you can save a lot of time, especially now if the integration completely works. So yeah, this is, for example, how to rewrite it. One of the other things, let's look at the time that we still haven't done. We have 5 more minutes. If what we still haven't done is attach the user, the author to it. So we can do it in 2 different ways. We can do it here, or we can build it in before it's after the saved functionality. I think it's nice if we do it here. We do model, author, attach, save, associate. That's it. And all we have to do is do auth, because auth is a model in this case. It's going to complain, but this is the one. Associate. Yeah. So this is one of the built-in ways in Laravel how to do it. If this works first try, it would be unimaginable to me, to be honest. I can't, this won't happen. So I'm going to try to run it. I am quite confident that this code is correct, but I'm not confident if the alpha version already will do this flawlessly. So we have a test, create article, article integration test. So here, let's take a look. What's the exception? Okay, it complains because there is a protection that you just can't save anything everywhere in there. So what we need to do is define fillables or guard it, depend on this name. And in the case of the article, fillable should be title description. Let's title description body. All the other things happen inside the model. So the creation of timestamps happen inside of is handled by the model itself. The slugs is handled by the model itself. The only thing that needs to be filled by the programmers is the title, the description, and the body. So this is what this says, and it's going to complain otherwise. This is like the mass assignment exception. See, it says here, the title needs to be fillable, otherwise it won't happen. So let's try again. Is null is not found. That's interesting. I think that is because it's on dev main. Let's write it to be sure. Didn't really do anything. So this isn't really worth it to do right now. Let's run it once more, but I think the error will be the same. Very interesting. This null is not found because it worked. It appears it's not in the main repository still. So that's something that I need to handle after the stream. And I think I forgot the most important part. I forgot how to tell you guys how to install it. So in the future, not now, what you can do now, if you want to do the if you want to try the actual one, the rework, you will still need to go inside the dev branch. So dev DSL rework, it's vinelab new eloquent. You have to install it like this. If you want the old one or the current one, the one that actually works right now, but won't integrate as nicely, that'll be version 1.8. Yeah. So you can install it like this, and then all you need to do afterwards is go to the database configuration, and then I added this Neo4j part here. So I created a connection named Neo4j with driver Neo4j, and then you put scheme, host, port, database, username, password, and the prefix isn't really worth it right now. And then I set the default. Well, it still says here MySQL, but if you go and look in the environment file, the default connection is defined as Neo4j. So I can do it here as well, Neo4j. So the end result, which I'm trying to go with this project, is that by the end, you can just swap out connections and everything will still work. that will also make it trivial to switch data between databases. So if you want to migrate from SQL to Neo4j, for example, it'll be trivial because the code is the same. So you could use two models, change the connections, load them in from one connection, and store them in the other, and you'll be done. And I think, but I haven't thought it through yet, that it'll be possible to do in migrations, that it's structurally sound enough, because all of the things that we need to think about is the translation between foreign keys and pivot tables. If these work flawlessly, then all the rest should work as well. So yeah, I think that's the main thing, main stuff. So as I said, it's a little bit more chaotic, but I did enjoy myself. I hope it was functional, and the next stream should have it fully up and running, so we can have an overview of a full Laravel based system. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you again, Glenn, for all your work. So yeah, so we'll have, as you said, the next episode to wrap this up and see the end result. And we might have after that a concluding episode, a special one. So we still need to discuss out the details. So we'll see if that happens or not. But stay tuned for maybe, so not one but two episodes to conclude the series. And other than that, take care of yourself and see you later. Thanks everyone. See you later. Bye.
Bye.